Hey Questers, and welcome to another episode of BMF, the unofficial home for all things Oculus Quest. Huge thanks to the devs for sending me this game to review. I know many of you have been waiting for a space-based flight combat game on the Quest, and today we get one in End Space. End Space is originally a Gear VR and Oculus Go game that has been ported to pretty much every other VR platform, and now it's made its way to the Quest. Is it worth picking up to scratch that space dog fight itch? Let's jack in and find out. Every time I play a game where I'm dogfighting other spacecraft, I can't help but remember the early 90s Windows X-Wing game. This game reminds me some of that game in its pacing and dogfighting. In End Space, you play as a space pilot contractor fighting for the UTC to protect their interests. This is a single-player only game with some aspects of replayability if you want to go back and do missions again to earn credit and finish upgrading your ship's weapons. The main story itself takes around 2.5 to 3 hours, and once I jumped into the game, I realized I'd actually played it before. The game itself has a light story with some interesting dialogue and missions, but don't expect a super deep story, as at its heart this is a space shooter. Graphically, the game looks quite good. The interior of your ship looks great while you're zooming around fighting enemies, and the locations in space are pretty varied, with each mission being unique in one way or another. Audio-wise, the voiceover is well done, and the sound effects make you feel like you're flying around in space. As I mentioned, this game does kind of remind me in some ways of the old X-Wing game, because the dogfights, although fun, feel somewhat slow in pace, surprisingly. Mechanics-wise, there are various options for how to play the game. You can actually use a gamepad if you choose, or the game fully supports the touch controllers. There are different locomotion options, from the ship flying where you look and the guns track where your controllers turn, to the opposite of the guns pointing where you look and using the joysticks to move the craft. You can even disable some of the settings so it feels more like a basic space game, except in VR, which some people may like as it should cause less motion sickness. Honestly, I haven't gotten motion sick in a game in a long while, but I had to adjust the settings slightly as for a minute I started to feel a little sick. But I think there's enough options to fit any playstyle. I know this review is super short, but there really just wasn't a lot to say besides that overall End Space is a fun game if you're looking for a space-based flight combat game. The mechanics work well, and it looks good visually. Story-wise, it's fairly light, and at times it can feel a little bit slow, but if you're a spaceflight junkie, then this should give you a decent fix. If you want to get the most out of your Quest and the best bang for your buck, then subscribe to BMF for more Quest-related content, and hit that bell icon. Plus, if you're looking for more Quest games, you can check out my other reviews here. Thanks so much for watching, and happy questing.